I'm still trying to get the lights adjusted in here. We'll see how it goes. Christina from Venice is here today. And Egan in Florida, welcome. Everyone's coming in on this beautiful Monday. And hello to you too, Christina. I'm still working this setup, guys. I hope that's, you don't mind. Charlie, how you doing? All right. So if you guys are tuning in YouTube and Periscope land, go ahead and drop me a comment. That's the only way that I know you're there as I am restreaming this. Thank you, Drew. I appreciate that. Drew is in the house over in YouTube land. Lewis, how you doing, buddy? Man, everyone is coming in today. I don't know, guys. I think I might be having a bad hair day. We'll get this worked out. YouTube land here with Drew. All right. So yeah, as I was saying, if you're in YouTube land or Periscope, you could shoot me a comment. That's how I know that you guys are there as I'm restreaming this. And that's the interface that I'm using. And I only know if you're there if you comment. If you're watching an archive of this on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button. That helps the show. If you comment, you can share it. You can hit subscribe. All of those things help others find the show. And I guess let's get into it because a lot's going on. I'm still working on this setup, guys, and I don't know how much. There's parts of it that I like and other parts that I don't. But if you guys bear with me, I'll slowly get this figured out. But what's important today is we just get to it. We start chatting about what's going on. It is Monday. So AOC has dropped a new episode this week. It is with Jessica Borushok. She is an ACT therapist, acceptance commitment therapy. She's a practitioner of ACT and has been working in that field for quite a long time. We did an episode with her with busy mind syndrome. And busy mind syndrome is something that I've certainly have dealt with, and I've dealt with it more so in my younger days than I do now. However, my day, my tasks, everything is arranged in such a way to relieve the pressure of busy mind syndrome. To me, busy mind syndrome is leaving points on the field. You didn't extract enough from your day, or you have a bunch of open loops thought-wise that are spiraling out of control. And there's many different things that you can do to quiet the mind. And Jessica goes through many different reasons why we deal with it, we fight it, and also how to reboot your mind to calm it down. So if busy mind syndrome is something that you have fought with, I would highly suggest you check it out. Regardless of that, anytime that you're dealing with ACT or CBT or learning more about how your mind works, the more tools you have to work your way through life when fighting with this stuff, when dealing with it. So certainly, it is definitely something that you want to look into. Now, I said this the other day. I was talking about busy mind syndrome, and the first time that I had noticed it was when I was about 24 years old. And, our old mod, General Jen, is in the house. Hello, Jen, and welcome. It's good to see you. Yes, I've made it to Vegas, if you've noticed. So, when I was 24 years old, the internet was in its infancy, and it started to take off. And one of the evolutionary ideas for busy mind syndrome is that we're dealing with other people's thoughts and our our ability to fit in with our tribe in order to feel safe. And if you've opened up those loops and you're unable to control them, or you're putting thought towards them where you can't control, it spirals and puts you in a place where you never quite feel settled, connected, safe. And you're constantly wondering what else is going on in the minds of people that you care about and that you hope care about you. When it comes to family, if we've been raised in a family of unconditional love, it's easy to feel settled. But if that environment was turbulent, it's always going to play a role in how you feel in your surroundings, and you'll never quite get settled. So for evolutionary purposes, you're constantly hoping that you're fitting in and you're trying to control other people's thoughts. Whereas when the internet started, we now have found ourselves living in tribal communities that were not only in real life, but now online. And I myself started to realize that the friends that I held, the social circles that I was in, to me at 24 years old, seemed compromised, because now my friends, who I thought were my best friends, were now starting to live other lives online. And because I wasn't, I felt that I was out of the loop. My social circles felt compromised by new people that I did not know, living out these connections somewhere that I wasn't privy to. You have to understand, we are not developed to be able to handle that sort of pressure and open loops of what is going on. Now, if I was feeling it at 24 years old, imagine what children are dealing with now in order to build safety in their social groups, when some of those lives and connections and vulnerabilities and friendships are being lived in real life, and some of those are being lived virtually. And not only are some being lived virtually, you're now looking at trying to manage relationships in real life and online. What an incredibly difficult situation for any young person to have to maneuver, especially one who is learning to build connections, also who is not quite comfortable and confident in themselves. And they're now managing not only relationships in real life, but online I can't imagine. So one of the reasons that we were discussing this phenomenon. Now, Jessica breaks down a bunch of different ways that you are able to deal with this. She puts up a quadrant reboot in order for you to think through some of your thoughts that are open loops, to be able to settle in closing them so that you feel much better. And that will slowly set your mind at rest, as well as living through your values. We've discussed that on this show many times, and acceptance commitment therapy is based in value-based living, by picking out values, principles, ethics that are important to you and living through them. Your commitment to those values will allow your mind to rest. Why? Because you are spending your time engaging in what is important to you, rather than living through the day, spending most of your time thinking about your past and projecting what it is going to be in the future. Two situations, two thought processes that don't do much good in the moment, being present. That time should be spent engaging in what is important to you, so that at the end of the day, your mind is at ease that you didn't leave any points on the field, that you've derived value, and that you're excited to do it again. I also have always said that restless mind syndrome, or staring at the ceiling at night, there is something concerning. And if you can't figure that out, it's usually because you're not living for yourself. You're living for others, and you're living in other times. You're not living in the moment. You're spending most of your time projecting what ifs, open loop thinking, and spending a lot of I wish I shoulda, coulda, woulda in the past, which there's nothing to be gained from that either, except a lesson in moving forward that you could pull from it. But that's it. So check out that episode. She has all kind of advice on restless mind syndrome, and it is definitely something that I have fought through in the past. I think all of us are trying to handle all this new technology and the relationships that we are building online, in real life. We're also forced so much information now that it's incredibly difficult to really get any semblance on what is going on. Especially, let's just roll into this next topic, which is going to be the escalated political violence that we had to witness over the weekend. You want to talk about busy mind syndrome? What about the people, all of us, who have to continually be fed optics for political marketing that drives us emotionally, that is designed specifically to dig in to your emotions, and your emotions over your well-being and existential survival. We have 2 more months to this election, and I don't know how you guys get your news. I'm mostly an internet guy, because if you've watched this show before, you realize that I don't trust not a damn word that the media tells me, and I know that it's all political marketing. Well, here we are. We have 2 months left, and we're dealing with political marketing that is obviously whipping people up into an emotional frenzy that we are now seeing straight up political violence in the street, and no one seems to care. Because if they actually cared, they would put a halt on stirring up. They would put a halt on stirring up people's emotions into a ridiculous frenzy. But no, every time you think maybe they've gone too far, they step on the gas. They make it worse. And we just had a weekend of political strife and violence that you would think, well, can it get? Well, I'll tell you this. How much worse could it get? We have 2 more months to this election, and I can't see them withdrawing and retreating with their tactics 2 months out. In fact, the media has shown us that they have absolutely no regard for public safety. And in fact, for them, it's just more clicks. Give some more hellos out there. Rob, it's good to see you, buddy. Thank you for joining in. Eric, thank you for the advice. I will get to trying to get this scene set up a little bit better, but I am certainly not, my creativity does not go into film and photography. But I appreciate your advice. It all makes sense, and I'll try to put together a backdrop. Thank you, buddy. So I would suggest this. Keep in mind what's going on. Keep in mind that the people who are getting involved are being whipped up into a frenzy by the media. And they're concerned citizens for whichever way they're rolling. But I will let you know, my suggestion is to detach yourself and watch it for the spectacle it is. I hate that there is to see violence in anything, but it is what it is, and it's going to continue to happen, and the media is going to continue to feed it, and we're going to have to play the silly game. But try this. We've been talking about optics and political marketing for months now. Continue to detach yourself and try to watch it for what it is, because the players who are going to get involved and run around in the streets, they have their own mission. They have their own ideas. They have their own goals. But I would say that to be incredibly careful and to stay safe and allow the marketing and the emotional stir that marketing creates to run its course, because it's already been set in motion and there's nothing that we can do to stop it. It's one more thing that is completely out of our control. And this is why with the Art of Charm and everything that we do here, it is about the things that you can control and the life that you are creating for yourself. In the days and how you're going to live your days, to be able to extract from it value that is going to allow you to be happy, to be encouraged, to be confident, and to be excited about what you are building for yourself. That's the only thing that you can do while everything else runs its course. Can I guarantee that things will be better after all of this election? Well, no, absolutely not. I'm just the guy talking about self-development. I can only talk about this stuff through an objective lens so that we can all take from it lessons that would allow us to maneuver through this world better and to drive value for ourselves. If we are happy, then we're going to make our immediate world better around us. It's the only thing that we can do. All right. Lega says, good morning, Johnny. Glad to be back. We're right on, buddy. Thank you for joining in. Who is it in the photo on the wall? I just wanted to ask that the last time. Well, guys, that's Keith Richards, Rolling Stones, one of my heroes. I would say a lot of my problems as a young man was because my heroes were guys like Keith Richards. Probably the reason I have gotten involved in self-development was climbing out of the hole that I had put myself in by trying to emulate my heroes such as Keith Richards. I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to that. But I will also tell you this. Keep your eye on the photo as we tune in, because I have some that I'm going to exchange for to see if you guys catch it. All right. So those are my thoughts today. Oh, lastly, just keep in mind, we still have 2 months. The levers have been pulled and the buttons have been pushed in our political society and climate. It is going to run its course. And here's the bad part. The violence that we have seen over the weekend, 2 months out, I can only imagine it's going to get worse. Here's what I plan on doing. I plan on not adding to the frequency. I plan on not allowing my emotions to get too wrapped up into this garbage. I plan on drawing from it wisdom and insights that I will carry with me as I grow older. You know, I was watching Scott Adams this morning. I don't know who else does, but he had mentioned that with all of this, the world's still going to be there after the election, and we're going to be dealing with it, and America's still going to be there. And I have to agree with all of those points. It's unfortunate that this is how the powers that be want to handle things, and it's unfortunate that us, as the plebes, as the population, have to watch this silly battle play out. But at the same time, it is what it is, and we're not going to be able to stop it. Rob says, Keith Richards, rock star, British immortal, did more coke than Pablo Escobar. Well, I don't know if Pablo Escobar did any drugs, except when you see the show, Escobar, he does smoke a lot of weed, but that's about it. Christina says, how went mapping in Vegas in the weekend? Well, thank you very much for asking. I'm still working on it. I've done a little bit. But here's my favorite mapping strategy. Anytime that I go travel and I'm feeling overwhelmed in the location that I'm in with the noise and the nature and the bustling of if it's in the city, my favorite way to map a new area is to put on my running shoes and go for a run. And the last time, so my last trip was to Austria and Budapest. I pulled off an 11-mile run in Budapest. I did a 9-mile run in Austria last year. What a way to map out your surroundings on a street level. I would rather do it that way than try to map out the area through automobile. You don't really get a sense of the environment like you do when your when your running shoes are on the ground and you're mapping it out on a street level. You get an idea of the pace of the city. So I plan on doing that. Perhaps the way my week is looking, I'm Wednesday or Thursday, I'll be taking my first run in Vegas. That's the way that is looking. All right, guys, it is getting close tonight. I'll go through the comments here, and then I got to head out. Appreciate it. If you want to learn more, well, you know what? Screw the if. Learn more about Busy Mind Syndrome and download the latest episode. It is great. Jessica was a wonderful guest. She had plenty to offer and offers plenty of exercises and suggestions to help out. Is AJ relocating too? He did. He's still in Los Angeles. Christina, that is quite a unique point of view. Agree 100%. On foot is the best. Absolutely. You can't. There is an energy of a city or a town or even a rural jog. you're going to absorb more than you ever could by driving through the countryside. Think about the sensory overload that you're getting if you're running. You're getting smells and sight and hearing. You're not going to get all of that if you're sitting in a car. Your sight is cut off. The aroma of the if you're out in the rural areas or in the city or the suburbs, you're missing out on that. The feeling of the energy. You are picking up so much more through your skin of just being surrounded in that location, and absorbing that surrounding through all of your senses. It's the fastest way to map out your vicinity. And the Vegas heat, yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you, Christina, there is no running after 10 a.m., especially right now. Lego says, best advice that you can give to a 21-year-old. Difficult question, I know, but you give some advice before you go. Thanks a ton, Johnny. Yes, here is my advice to a 21-year-old, at least my advice as of right now. There's plenty of amazing things for 21-year-olds to do. I would say to learn to fail, or learn to learn, or that failure is nothing but an opportunity to learn. As soon as you get comfortable failing, or you rid it from your vocabulary or your thought process, you can do both of those. You can get incredibly comfortable with the idea that failing is just a part of life, and when you see those opportunities to fail, and to fail often, and to get comfortable with it and embrace it, it's no big deal. Or, here's one even better. You can learn that failure is a figment of your imagination, and that it doesn't even exist. And it only exists because you determined that it exists. If you can rid the idea of failure from your vocabulary, from your thought process, from your experiences, and it's only learning opportunities, then you will throw yourself into anything that you possibly can, because you know the result is going to be more beneficial than not doing that. So, Lego, that is my best advice for a 21-year-old today, in this moment, as I'm drinking coffee. And you can do it. You can rid that idea out of your mind. You can also get rid of the idea. Here's another one for you, Lego. Rejection. That doesn't exist either. It's a word. It is a word and a thought that we have prescribed to a certain event. But it doesn't have to be that way. You could have found out that just things weren't a good fit. It just didn't work out. The idea of rejection is a terrible one all the way around. It doesn't benefit you. Could you come up short? Sure. Are you not a good fit for certain things and a better fit for others? Yes. What do you do in those moments? You figure out how you can improve so that you would be able to fit in more situations than not. You're not going to be a good fit for most of the things that you do. And as an entrepreneur, I have 15 years of entrepreneurial work, understanding that most things are going to blow up in your face and not work out, and you're going to be sitting in the aftermath of every dumb idea that you had, only to learn from them, to be able to get to that place earlier in life will make everything easier. Why? Because that's just how life is. Most things that you do are not going to work out. So many people give up on entrepreneurial work because they realize that their first idea failed, second idea failed, third idea failed, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. Until the idea of failure gets beaten from you. And then you realize that every little piece, everything that you failed at has led you to slowly gaining ground. So that you now have insights of where to spend your time, because you're gaining movement, progress. Without all the failure, you cannot recognize what the progress looks like. Granted, your attitude about failing has got to be adjusted to make it beneficial. Rob says, amen, can't win if you don't try. 100%, absolutely. All right, guys, I got a million things to do today. Thank you all for the hearts on Instagram. Lego, Rob, Eric, thank you guys for joining up today. Drew, thank you. Man, we're getting lots of new folks listening. You guys are rad. This makes everything better. Still working on our situation here with video. We'll make this all work. Oh, and Jessica says thank you. Well, thank you, Jessica, for tuning in. Amari says hello. Whoa, what is everybody popping in for? You guys are so rad. All right, I gotta go, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. See ya. Oh, yes, Jessica Borushok. Check out that episode. All right, guys.